whether you change the word to mentally disabled or mentally slow, at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that the person's fucking retarded. And when we're dealing with flat earthers, we're dealing with retards. We are also dealing with delusional people, and generally, more often than not, you're going to be dealing with liars, dishonest people. You're going to be dealing with people that use logical fallacies all the time, and you're also going to be dealing with people that are delusional. Every one of you are all smug. You guys have huge mouths. You're so arrogant. You think you know everything and you know nothing. You're constantly insulting everybody, telling them that they're all brainwashed and how they fucking only repeat what they've been told in school, and they're fucking stupid and they don't know the truth and just do research, and you never give any evidence at all to support your position. You people are pathetic. You're losers. You're the dumbest fucks that's ever walked on the planet.
So anyway, I'm gonna hear a little pull out down the road. I wanted to show this. You can see the NASA cartoon that shows the meteor coming in at an angle. And I was gonna ask the lady, why does the crater look like a volcano depression, and that if it was a rock from the sky, why does it look like a 90-degree impact rather than the 45 or so that they show in the cartoon? And this is a big question for globe earthers. Why are meteor craters look like this? Huh? They call it a meteor crater as if some rock fell from the sky, when it's just it looks more like a sinkhole or some kind of volcanic maybe depression, or it could just be a big sinkhole. I don't know exactly. So that's just, they mentioned NASA on this brochure. This was one of the first discovered craters, and big questions about what it is. And you can see out here this flat plain I'm on. And as I pan here to the, can't really see it over the little hill here, but you can see that mountain in the distance, barely. I have to zoom in better to really see it, but we're probably about 40 miles, give or take, maybe about 30 or 40 miles from that mountain. And the fact that you can still see it is another proof question. If we lived on a spinning ball, there should be expected curvature. I'm just gonna conclude this video real quick so I can throw a stick with the dog. But these are questions that are, in my mind, proof for flat terrestrial plane. The horizon is the separation or convergence point for the flat terrestrial plane versus the celestial sphere. As we measure the sky from our point of view, we measure in arc minutes and arc seconds. And water is flat and level. I was hoping against odds that it wouldn't cost an arm and a leg to get in, or at least I could have a trail or something to look around and just walk the ridge or something to the crater, but of course it's all a tourist thing. It's like $18 to get in.
Zero point zero. All right, water's right at the edge. .5 grams. Sounds awful light. Let's find out. It's 18.5 grams. Imagine that. There you go. It'd be better off if I didn't have that. But it's repeatable. It is repeatable. The scales don't lie. The scales do not lie. Now make sure I didn't get no water on there. I won't be able to sell no herb.
If I show you a picture that shows absolutely zero curve from any altitude, how can you possibly sit there and argue with me and say, or anyone else for that matter, and say with a straight face, well, the math does indeed prove a curve because we know how to figure out the radius of the wall, right? So we can mathematically figure out that there is a curve. And the mathematical figure is 6 to 8 inches, people, per mile, dropping away from you. Because remember, if you're standing on a ball, every direction from you is downhill. What don't we understand? This is common sense. Children know this, okay? All right, so if we can measurably determine the rate of curve, why can't we see it? How are you going to sit there and say, yeah, well, we know it's there, but we can't observe it? What? Come on. Okay, so check it out. People that subscribe to the globe theory and are so indoctrinated to it, and they are just so... If you're driving on the highway and you see mountains in the background, way far away, and you see trees and shit at all different varying distances from you all the way to the mountains, what object moves the slowest? Correct. The furthest things away. Yes. Simple, repeatable, observable. Okay? So, if the furthest things away from you have the least movement as you pass, as you move, well, if the sun is 93 million miles away, I would say that's quite a bit further than the mountains. Just a guess. You know, I am a stupid flat earther with no brain, remember? Alright, so, how the fuck can we watch the clouds and the sun and the moon move at the same exact rate as we pass? Don't you get it? The sun is not 93 million miles away. Don't! The moon is not 200,000 to 400,000 miles away either. Don't! It's obvious. Don't just dismiss obvious facts because you want to be so up that globe's ass. The globe is fucking you over. Evolution is fucking you over. Gravity, fuck you, it's fucking you over too. Buoyancy and density. There is another science that shows this. It's called air fluid dynamics. Check it out. All the fancy shit you want to say with math and this and that and is all smashed by two simple statements. Facts. Water never curves. Period. I had some joker try to tell me the other day, well, in science class, we used to fill a glass halfway with water and we could see the water curved over it. Bullshit. You cannot ever see that. How ridiculous. Even you globe people know that's not true. Come on. Second statement. A flat horizon at eye level, no matter what your altitude is, no matter how high you go, that thing is right at your eye level. That's only possible on a flat infinite plane. It is physically impossible to happen on a ball of any size. Why is this such a hard concept? It's not. It's just that you can't let go. You just cannot let go. The proof is all around you. Everywhere. God is not irrelevant. God is not outdated. We see revelation happening right now in front of us. We see page 1 of the Bible everywhere we look. How can you deny it? Who the fuck is really gonna sit there and tell me that this is a ball? No, this is a circle. Get over it, people. Get over it. I'm under and over it.
Well, let me tell you something. If you ever feel like a big, stupid fucking idiot, just remember, there's literally people out there that believe we live on a flat earth. Yeah. What kind of intellectual deficit is needed to be that fucking ignorant?
The globe earth is a cartoon nonsense, right? It's a crime against humanity, and anybody that's trying to perpetuate it for me is in the same fucking category, right? Regardless of personalities or whatever. It's not the issue. The issue is that the claim that was made to us when we were born and that we were growing up is that we lived on a nature-defying blue testicle with water and air clung to it, flying through a vacuum. Absolutely preposterous absurdity, right? That's what's important, okay? So if you know the severity and the seriousness of this topic, then again, I'm going to reiterate it. If you think that there's no any agency involvement in it, you're a moron. It's difficult not to. I'm trying really hard not to be dismissive and ridicule them because, at the end of the day, their retarded emotional and mental state deserves a chance to progress and evolve properly. The facts are, you do not live on a cartoon fucking testicle flying around a vacuum. The facts are, nobody knows the full dimensions of where we are. Nobody knows who we are, but we can find that out. People just need to stick to what is factual. Never mind all your fallacies in your mind about authorities and fucking high priests with fucking PhD and all that shite after their name. Strip it back to claims, go into practical reality, address each individual claim and see what you find for yourself. Be the scientist. You've got the same eyes, ears, brain that anybody else has.
I don't know if you can see this here, but these objects here seem to have fell out with gravity, or gravity doesn't like them, because they seem to be floating. Now is it either gravity doesn't like these objects, or is it because maybe these objects are less dense, so they float? Just an idea.
Please bring your practical demonstrations to show why you have such a nonsense, childish, idiotic, moronic belief. I know why you have the belief if you're just an innocent guy. It's because you're invested in Star Wars. It's because you wanted to be Luke Skywalker. It's because you like the wee colourful images that you see on your TV screen. Well, I'm sorry, sonny. I can show you anything through a TV screen. Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't matter how convincing I make it look. It's not real. You need to ditch that idiocy and you need to come to practical reality. What is a UFO? Unidentified flying object. So, can you make claims to know what a UFO is? Do you have the substance? Do you have the measure of it? You know what it's comprised of? You know the full dimensions of it? You've smelt it, tasted it, touched it, prodded it, broke it. Do you have that? No, you don't. Therefore, it's classified as unidentified flying object. So let's apply that same crazy logic to the sky. Do you have the substance? Do you know what it's made of? Have you smelt it? Have you touched it? Have you broke it? Have you tore it apart? Have you looked into it? Blah, blah, blah. No! So we should class them as the same unidentified flying objects. if they are even objects. You don't even know that. Again, it doesn't fucking matter. The objective truths and facts are what they are, regardless of a personality or what their affiliations are. That's what people need to discern between. If you're involved in this and you're following personalities, then these games are going to have an effect on you. So I suggest that you stop being so fucking weak-minded, emotionally fucking retarded, slap fuck it yourself, and no accept it. Right?
It's a nice, flexible.
Sleeping Warrior, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a ball that does not exist. Anthony Riley, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of heliocentrists who operate without credible evidence.
There is no edge. Earth exists on an extended flat plane. There is a boundary, which is Antarctica, which you see represented in the white here. This would be Antarctica. It's a 360-degree ice wall that contains the oceans of Earth. Magnetic north is in the center of the flat Earth. And these rocks, obviously also not to scale, represent the land masses. You should be familiar with water. 71% of Earth is covered with water. Water flows downhill. It follows the path of least resistance, and it will continue to flow until something stops it. At that point, it will conform to the shape of its container, and then it will find level. That's what water does. It seeks to be level. That's one of the natural physical properties of water that you cannot change. So I'm going to add some water to this model to demonstrate. And you can see the water flows down. That's a little heavy rain there. As the water hits the land, the highlands, it flows downhill towards the sea, following the path of least resistance until it is contained by something, which would be Antarctica, and then it finds level.
Let's say this is our little meteorite. It's coming in, boom, hits our Earth. Whoa, look, what happened? So this is about as good a representation as I can get of our weightless globe Earth floating through space, right? It's got no weight. It's just hurling through space, whirling and twirling. That's why we always spin at the same rate. Normally you'll slow down a millibillitary a second in billions of years. Because we're just a weightless ball floating through space. But look what happens when this meteor hits our weightless ball. Why does it go flying off like that? And the string's actually helping it bring it back. If we were in weightless space, why doesn't the globe Earth just keep going when all these meteors hit the globe Earth, the weightless globe Earth in space?
The magnetic north is at the center of flat Earth. I've got a compass here. As we get closer to there's magnetic north. If you keep north on your left side and you head east, you can see you continue to head east. The compass points north, which will show you that you can still continue eastward around, keeping magnetic north on your left. You eventually wind up back where you started. Same thing for west. You put magnetic north on your right, and as you head west, keep magnetic north on your right as you circle. Come back around to where you began with the needle on the compass pointing to magnetic north.
Could someone please explain that to me? Because I can hit my globe Earth, weightless globe Earth in space with these BB meteors all day, and it flings off in a different direction every time I do. So if this meteor comes in with the almighty powerful force to wipe out the fake ass, stick it up your sore asses, then why didn't it send the Earth out of orbit in this weightless nothingness of space?
You look at the fucking craters and they're all round. That's not right. Millions of years or billions or whatever that the moon is supposed to be circling around in space, and every fucking meteor hits that thing at 90 degrees, no matter what side of the moon it's on. The side of the moon over here, they're perfectly round. When you get over here and you look at them, they're perfectly round. You get over here, round. And these are perfectly round. That means everywhere the fucking meteorites hit the fucking moon, it's 90 degrees. Now, how the fuck is that happening?
And this is the sun shining, and it makes a circle, illuminating locally, taking 24 hours. You get a 24-hour day, circles back. This being the east coast of America, as the sun approaches, it appears to rise during the day. That's due to perspective. It's farther away, so it appears low on the horizon. As it travels, it moves overhead, and then as it moves away from you, it gets smaller, and the sunlight shrinks away as it heads off to the west, and it makes a circle. 24 hours like this. The moon takes 25 hours to make its circuit, and that's how you end up with moon being able to see the moon in the daytime, because it takes longer for the moon to make its circuit. The sun, their circuits will overlap, and that's how you get sun and moon during the daytime.
Right? If you were to just get that right angle on the moon. Oh, perfect. Exactly what I was looking for. Right? Look at that. See what I did there with a BB? High velocity impact. Made a nice gouge. Could you imagine that being like a canyon? If this is the moon and something came in at that angle, high velocity, this should leave a canyon. Huge dig mark, right?
That doesn't make sense. And especially since if this is the face of the moon, round that away, and the Earth's somewhere over here, and you have these big craters. You look up at the moon, anytime you look at the fucking moon, you see these big round craters. How is a meteorite going to go around the Earth like this and come back around like this and then hit at a 90-degree angle the fucking moon? It's just all lame, you know. So it's just one more piece of shit, you know, that's pretty obvious to some people.
I think that's basically it. It's pretty simple. No complex, unproven theories to deal with. No huge numbers. No crazy calculations. The Earth is flat. The sun, moon, and stars circle above it just as it appears. You're not on a spinning ball. There is no gravity. Density and mass make an object heavy. So anything that's heavier than air is going to fall. Anything lighter than air will float. Up is up and down is down, and the Earth is flat.
I believe I've sufficiently debunked the notion that space rocks are making all those craters on the moon. I believe anyone can demonstrate through the scientific method, which I've just performed, observable, provable, repeatable proof that high velocity impacts at different angles do not make circular craters. And all we see on the moon is virtually nothing but circular craters. Where are the dig marks, the trenches and the canyons? There aren't any. There should be tons of them, but there aren't. So therefore, I must reject mainstream science. I must reject their answer that those craters come from impacts from asteroids and comets and meteors. I must reject what they say, and we must open up scientific investigation.
I was pretty upset. Didn't get to see it, and was upset at NASA. You know, they have all these feeds from different areas, and this NASA live feed from this location, and they're all from the ground showing the sky. And you know, if I'm paying somebody $53 million a year, I would expect to get something other than what I can see.
None of it makes sense from the heliocentric model, from the heliocentric point of view. For one, the amount of time that the eclipse is going to last tomorrow. Here in Oklahoma, it's going to last pretty much all day. Not a total eclipse. We're not going to get a total eclipse here, but the sun is going to be obscured by the moon for a large section. Hours of the day, we're going to be able to see the moon in front of the sun.
I don't know. I don't know what they are, but you know, a lot of people, and even myself, have called them the possibility that this is the Rahu and Ketu, the fabled Rahu and Ketu. Whether or not they're real or not, I don't know. But I do know that this is only one of many anomalies that people picked up, and I don't believe that all of them are lens flares. I mean, there's something to this. And of course, the biggest anomaly of all is that we don't seem to be able to detect the moon in any way, shape, or form.
So it's either creating its own light, it's something else, right? But to say that got in front of the sun and caused the sun to go dark when we're supposed to see it reflecting sunlight, that seems kind of dumb to believe, doesn't it?
I remember before the eclipse even started, I was looking in the sky, I was looking for the moon, and I couldn't find the moon. It's supposedly the new moon, so you shouldn't really be able to see any of the sun's light reflecting off of it. And I thought that was kind of strange that before and after the eclipse was starting, there was literally no moon. I didn't see any moon. I didn't see the moon on the side or to the right or to the left when it passed. From where I was standing, it came from the right of the sun and then it moved towards the left and it passed over it and I didn't see the moon. I didn't see anything resembling the moon. I didn't see any of that. I did try to look for it. I was trying to look in the sky elsewhere to see if I can capture the moon elsewhere, to try to prove that there are other dark bodies in the sky, such as Rahu.
A 70-mile shadow, total shadow. I know the shadow's bigger than that, but of a moon that's 238,000 miles away, I don't know how you can replicate that. I don't know how you can reproduce that on a smaller scale where you take an object and end up with the smaller shadow than the object itself, which it would have to be the case. You know, I mean, you're talking about the totality of the moon blocking the totality of the sun. Guys, this proves the sun and the moon are close, if you really think about it. Okay, it absolutely, it's 100% proof that the moon and the sun are close to Earth.
Prepare to be astonished.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so far it's 92 million miles away to the sun, and then the sun and the moon are in the sky. It's going to go across from the left, and that's why. And all that stuff seemed really important until the day of the eclipse when the moon didn't even bother to show up.
Thermal images of the sun shows that there was nothing blocking the sun. There is no moon near the sun, and they don't understand how whatever it was blocked the sun. And in the meantime, there was very heavy chemtrailing going on. In one location, they claimed that the solar eclipse took place 1 hour earlier than it should have. So what was this huge object that was in front of the sun? Was it Nibiru? Was it Planet X?
Anyways, it's supposed to be about full right now. It's coming out of it, I think, but yeah, I'm not going blind. It's a weird ass pattern around it. Yeah. So, I think that myth's busted. If you stared at it for a long time at its brightest, I guess you might go blind or have your vision affected for a while.
There's a period where it is safe to view the sun with your eyes, and you know, you'll know because when you look at it, it doesn't hurt. You don't need to like cringe your eyes unless you're a person who wears sunglasses on the daily. Like I do see a lot of flat earthers and truthers out there who wear sunglasses or have maybe tinted glasses. For those people, I suggest that maybe you look into how we should be letting the light through our eyes, because this is a way that it travels into our third eye.
What's funny is a lot of people think that this geometry proves that the Earth is a globe. And that's just hilarious to me. Just the whole idea that the sun is 93 million miles away, and there are these precise times that scientists can measure the totality of the eclipse in Nashville versus Columbus, Georgia. Quite obviously, all of the precise measurements work much better on a geocentric model, and that's what they're doing. And they translate it to a heliocentric model, and that's just their justifications, just the lies that they come up with. And everything always sounds really good. Just indoctrination and brainwashing. And the event itself becomes a brainwashing event where you reinvest back into the wrong shape of the Earth. The Book of Enoch has all of this written in detail.
Well, that moon actually starts down at the bottom of the screen, but that's fine. We can watch it from there. So see how the moon's standing still?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as soon as the satellite's deployed, okay, satellite's deployed, now the moon can begin, and the moon will start its little trek again. Here it goes. Okay, Now, the moon will stop for the next satellite to be deployed. And this is the kind of bullshit that you guys will just accept. You'll come up with some bullshit answer for it, that why the moon just stops for fucking SpaceX satellites to be deployed.
You mean it can't possibly be in any way, shape, or form that it's actually the Falcon 9 rocket that's doing the turning? Oh my god!
What do you mean the turning?
The moon is staying still, you ignorant piece of shit. It's actually the rocket that's doing the moving. If the camera is attached to the satellite that's actually doing the moving, then the picture's gonna move with it. If you don't have a fucking reference point from it, then of course it's gonna confuse you.
No.
For fuck's sake, this is so easy, a fucking kindergartner could get it. Why is it that a grown adult can't understand these simple fucking concepts?
Satellites are smaller than a plane, and they're much higher up. And they're not actually emitting their own light, because they're just old metal tubes, boxes. But somehow we see them as stars, shining points of light in our sky. At night, when the sun is behind the planet, so there's no light actually hitting it to bounce back down to us. And also the moon is behind them because it's further away. So there's nothing really, just the no, maybe our streetlights. Our streetlights are shining up into the atmosphere. And then so far up, the streetlights are hitting the satellites and the light bounces back.
So this video is an astronaut explaining the mission. It's not like practice footage or anything. Watch closely.
Arrangement. Dan sat in the pilot seat during this operation, sort of monitoring the motion of the vehicle, making sure that it was steady and that there were very few vibrations of any sort. Here's a picture of the INSAT actually being deployed from the spacecraft. You can see that the deploy went very smoothly. At the moment of deploy...
Did you see it? In the background? There was a guy in the background, man. I'm not kidding you. You can't deny that that's someone in the background. There's a guy moving in the background. Here, watch it again. Watch it closely. I looked up, or I tried to look up the size of this rocket. I found this picture. You can see it's massive. So if that rocket is in space and if there's a guy in the background in that footage, that means that there are like giants, but like insane big giants floating around in space looking at NASA. That's probably why they don't dare to go back to the moon and why they hide so much stuff. Space is full of giants.
So they're going up into space, but they're flying with us at 1,600 kilometers per hour. Super fast. And then they reach the barrier between our atmosphere and open space. But instead of being completely torn apart by the sheer violence of the momentum change from the 1,600 kilometers per hour to, oh, now you're in open space, they just silently and gently glide off into a low Earth orbit, into the vacuum of space, into just nothing. Kind of like when you're on a merry-go-round spinning really fast and you drop a gumdrop, candy ball, gumdrop, drop as you're spinning super fast on your merry-go-round. That's kind of like what happens with the satellites going into space, low Earth orbits. But the satellite doesn't just go flying, it just gently up and then does all the things that it does.
It's the case that they were handed those jerseys after the 2 Super Bowl teams were picked, in which case they are taping on Earth. What do you think, John?
Yeah. They're probably just in front of a green screen, but yeah, I think that's an excellent find because, first of all, we know how often they fail to send rockets up there. I mean, what is it? Half the time they blow up before they even reach halfway to, through the troposphere. And so even if they, sent out all the jerseys then, I mean, it's just ridiculous. But no, I think that this is really good evidence that they're just faking stuff from the Earth. They wouldn't have sent. I mean, first of all, if they would have actually sent all of those jerseys up in December, and yeah, I remember learning early on that it costs like $2,000 to $5,000 per pound to send anything into space, which I always thought was sort of silly, especially when you see like all this junk that they have all around them. Like it's supposed to make them, make it look very scientific. But I mean, if you look at each individual piece of stuff that's even in this one scene, it's like, okay, what is all this stuff? And by the way, you can clearly see they never closed their hatches. In the background, they've got an open hatch, which would be like sort of a court-martialable or whatever Section 8 offense if you were in the Navy. But anyway,
watch one part right here. Just if you watch her shirt, and you'll see here, she moves right there that there is a glitch. And if that was a camera glitch, then all of this behind them would need to glitch out. That it can't just be the person, watch, glitch. That's what would happen if it was some sort of green screening or some sort of trick photography. And that's why you see the glitch. I'll show it one more time here. That you see the glitch only in the one person right there. And then later in this video, you see him glitch out and her not. It's just, to me, it's quite obvious. And again, if the case was that they had all these jerseys up there, then they should show all the jerseys and simply say to people, hey, got safety on the inside and danger, like the blackness of space on the outside, definitely hazardous to human life. You would not build the space station the way they did. You would build everything inside so that you could remain safe. You could go throughout the plane and install things from the inside of the plane. If something went wrong, you would be fixing it from the inside. But that's not quite how they do it on the ISS. They want to build everything on the outside. So they'll put their apparatuses sticking out every different direction. It looks like a disaster. It's kind of a travesty to science that they call that thing scientific. But they put everything on the outside. And not just that, but they run wires and connectors and satellites and all kinds of fun stuff running on the outside. So they've got wires and cords in every different direction. So, of course, you need to go outside and basically put your life on the line. Anytime there's a minor little nick or something comes unplugged, now you got to get on that big spacesuit and you got to go out and fix it. Not only that, but you have to stay tethered to the flying spaceship. So then you've got your little fat astronaut man right here, and he's got to be tethered. And if you got usually two of them out there in case one of them floats away or something, you got another one and he's also tethered. That just makes no sense. It just is not the way anybody would run the operation, except if you're NASA, then you're just a bunch of clowns. And this makes no sense.
Well, dude, check it out. It was a live television feed from the moon through the Van Allen belt. Oh, the Van Allen belt's not gonna cause any problems. Oh, really? So you think this high level of radiation is gonna be able to allow this spotty transmission of Apollo 11 in 1969, right?
It's funny how satellites burn up on re-entry, but they go out just fine. I looked up how they put satellites in orbit, and according to what I read, they actually just strap a satellite to the top of a rocket and shoot it up into orbit, and then when it reaches the place where they want it to be, they release it from the rocket, and the rocket goes into orbit as space junk.
If gunpowder wasn't invented, you wouldn't have guns, because guns were building upon a previous technology known as gunpowder. And the whole space program needed a foundation of previous proven technology. in order to build upon. America did not have that foundation of technology because we'd never been in space. We have no idea what space was. We have no idea the terrain, the dangers, anything. We didn't know anything about space, but we could build a craft that could go through space and land on the moon. No problem. No problem. For all we knew at that time was that the surface of the moon could have been lava. It could have been water. It could have been gases. How did we, and where did we, you know, we looked through a telescope, we see craters, so it can't be lava. How do you know?
I can't believe that people are so stupid. They're so either happy in their little cocoon that they don't fucking question reality. They don't look at the fucking moon landing footage and say, I can see the fucking strings. 'Cause you can. You can see the fucking strings. Not only that, but I mean, they're not jumping like a sixth of the Earth's gravity. They're not jumping 20 feet in the air. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, to any graphic designer, you can easily see that it's all CGI and it's all bullshit.
Why doesn't it burn up on the way out? The materials haven't been compromised. There's no elements up there to compromise the material. There's no moisture to rust things, or wind, or any other element to break down the structural integrity of the satellite. So why? Why does it burn up on the way back down, but it doesn't burn up on the way up?
We went to the moon with no backup technology, no foundation of technology. We went to the moon. It's like building the Kitty Hawk and coming up with a 747 within 10 years. And look at the complexity of a 747. Those things are repaired, constantly being repaired. Parts are being replaced constantly. We didn't see this with the moon, you know, the moon landing. And now you have radiation. Now I've learned from these top researchers that when they went to the moon, the radiation level of the Van Allen belt, they had to get through that. They had to get through it. They had to get through it. They couldn't get through it. And to this day, they can't get through it. But they went through it. Somehow a miracle happened. They went through it. And the radiation, that there was some of the, it was at that time the biggest solar storms on the sun ever recorded, which it charges up the Van Allen radiation belt 1,000 times. It increases the radiation 1,000 times. They would have been on the moon. If they were on the moon, they would have been bathed in solar radiation from these storms. 1,000 times more powerful.
This is the moon. These are all taken by my camera. This is the moon at night, but draw your attention to this, okay? Bear in mind, I'm talking about a vortex world we live in. Alright, does this make sense? Yeah, is that the vortex? Is that the bottom vortex of this thing we're on, or is it the top one? I don't know. I just know that this is a reflection of Earth. They call it Isis, Diana, you call it what you like, yeah? The moon goddess, but it's Earth. It's our reflection in the firmament, in the dome. They hint at it in films. A Truman Show, he looks up at the moon, the guy's looking down. Under the dome, if you Google under the dome, they show you a moon just on the corner of this dome. 100% reflection in the firmament, the dome.
So this is just a superficial visual to tell you, well, there's some similarities there. Once you go into detail, as I have done, you'd see it's an absolute match. It's not a coincidence. It's nothing just peculiar or just by cosmic chance or something. One is a direct. it's we're looking at one and the same thing. No matter what the differences are, that's to be explained or attempted to be explained later. It's coming through okay. I'm just opaque, less opaque.
And I can kind of see what Pete Shea says about these star constellations and stuff being found on the moon. Because if you look at all those bright spots there, I mean, obviously you could match probably most of those up to a star bloody constellation if you wanted to anyway, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's some good stuff what he's putting out about the finding the Milky Way constellation and not constellation, galaxy on the moon and shit. Because when he shows it, it does look pretty convincing, I've got to say. And if you account for the fact that the moon is domed, if it is, then then there you go.
This must be landmass, yeah. These must be where we live. Is this Australia? Is America? Is that Russia? I don't know, but I'm just staring at it, thinking it's got to be something, hasn't it? Hey, is that Australia? I don't know. I turned that one upside down just so you know, and then my brain just looked at it and went, well, it's made that the white stuff's got to be the water. And this has got to be landmass. Hey. So obviously it does what, this libration, it wobbles and moves, and I know it moves within a day. Well, if we're spinning under a dome, this thing it moves, yeah. If you look at it in the sky every night, it's moving going backwards. So are we're spinning anti-clockwise. But yeah, think this is us. We live on one of these bits.
Everybody done seen Batman and what they have in the sky. When they need his help, they show the symbol, the Batman symbol, and it looks solid. It looks like a real solid thing. But you can see we know because we can see that they turned the light on. That's how we know. But without that, take away that light source, and the only thing you see was that in the sky, you probably most likely will believe that that's something floating in the sky. If you don't know that it's coming from a separate source. That's the same thing with the moon. If it to be a projection, we don't see a separate source. We don't see like what we see in the movie, that there's a big old round light thing that it hit the switch and it turns on. We don't see that. So we only going by what we see, and we only see a round, a circular or a circle shape, what they call moon or object. And we can tell that whatever it is either creating its own light source or the light source is somewhere else, and it's not coming from the sun, because during the daytime, what you got? There's times where you can see stars through it. Everybody have saw that. Everybody have seen that. That is not natural. That cannot work in a way that these so-called scientists explain how things should work.
All right, I give up. I cannot live in the same world with people such as this asshole clown. It's just too much. I cannot live with these people anymore. Cannot share the same fucking planet with ignorant fucktard wanker morons who are so fucking ignorant that they can't understand why most of the planets are round. Therefore, I must kill myself.